ex-boyfriend. We were so happy back then. I really missed those times. I'm like, bitch, is this shit suitable? Be sending me out of nowhere? This is weird, man. I was like, what do I say to this? This is like speechless.
Yeah, that's weird. I was gonna ask you actually, like,
Yeah.
because you ended up you're in like a situationship now, right?
Yeah. I mean, we're most likely gonna get
Or
together.
relationship.
Yeah, we're most
So like,
likely
did you
getting
guys
together.
meet online or was it already you knew each other beforehand?
It was through Hinge. Yeah, it was
Okay.
online. Yeah.
So did you find that like, because you just like made the point like, oh, going to Taiwan was like crazy, like, but then you come back here and you got to adjust your expectations. So like, what one fear I have of like traveling for dating is how do you adjust back to reality?
You're fucked.
But I mean, you got a girlfriend, right? So like clearly it's not too
um.
bad, right?
Okay. Well, me and this girl we ended because I feel like as I went to Taiwan and I came back, my expectations got higher, and
Oh.
also not only that, I feel like my confidence got much higher. Just doing like the podcasts and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like content
Yeah, we
creation
talked we
is,
talked about that.
yeah, it's such a blessing doing content because when you do when you're able to like share your opinions as a man, where
Mm-hmm.
in a society now feminism is very prevalent and they're trying to cancel whatever controversial opinions or just any opinions that you have as a man, and suppress like what you can say. It's very empowering that like you can speak your mind, not in a misogynistic way, but whenever guys post like controversial things, I think we're like getting canceled. I mean, sometimes we get borderline canceled on this
Mm-hmm.
channel.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure. Did you have like the same
Yeah.
experiences, by the way? I know in our
I
voice
think for me,
messages, I did ask
yeah,
you that, but then we exchanged so much.
it's hard to say actually. Uh, I feel like as like a content creator who does like kind of controversial content, you're always like thinking like, oh, is this okay? But then like nothing really happens, so then I think it's fine. Like no one's tried to cancel me. Um, in fairness, I don't really do anything like if I do a controversial take, it's usually for the good guys, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
when I shit on like the lose, which I'll say is the most controversial, I'm trying to like speak up for Asians, right? Like Asian guys. So I don't really dunk on people that like I think like I'm usually on the good guy side is how I see it.
Oh, you're a nice
So
guy.
that's my nice guy. I
Oh,
just
okay. So you're appealing to the women. You're pick me.
I'm a pick me. I'm a pick. No. But like
No, for real, you don't get
yeah, I don't
hate.
know.
You don't get hate from like people thinking you're like red pill and stuff. I think you mentioned
Oh, the
that
red pill
before,
stuff?
right? When you were
I don't know,
associating
dude.
more
I
with
feel like
pickup.
oh, okay, I get hated on in the Asian Masculinity subreddit by like a
Yeah,
few same usernames like
yeah.
cuz I used to have collabs with like Mike, the dating coach guy. And then yeah. Basically like there's a few collabs I did in the past where like I just privated most of them just for branding purposes. Um, but yeah, I think like as a creator, you kind of have like and this is kind of why I was telling you you should do like your own thing more than podcasts is like you just build up like a brand identity. And like the kind of crazy thing about content is like people remember you. Like, it's like when I make these videos, I just like record and talk to a camera, edit and upload. But I always forget that there's like someone else watching on the other side of the camera, right? On the other side of the screen. So like if someone recognizes you in real life or like like comments like, "Oh, I've been watching you since like day one." It's like kind of a weird thought for me
Oh,
because like
that's crazy.
you don't really you don't really like think about it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Has that happened to you yet? Like people recognize you in person?
I get recognized a lot from my ping pong channel. But like even Chang Nation I've gotten recognized a few times
Damn.
in person.
Hey, you gotta teach me
So
some
like
ping pong, dude. I'll teach you
but
pickleball.
like yeah, dude, that's why like I think like for you, I think you have like very good potential because even this conversation it flows really smoothly, right? Like
Yeah.
I kind of want to do a live stream on my channel after this, like if you're down, but like right after,
Not right
like a
after.
marathon,
It's a
just a
hectic
quick
ass
one.
week for me. To be honest, our channel is not even that big, right? It's only like 2K subs ish.
Hmm.
But like even with
It's not
2K
small.
subs, like you still feel a sense of fulfillment. And I think that's very important because you're not really doing YouTube or content creation because you're trying to make a lot of money. Of course, that's the number one goal, but at the same time,
Hmm.
um, it's really important because you're also farming your skill set and then you're also gaining more confidence.
Farming.
So
Yeah,
yeah. So I think coming back here and then doing like content creation and also like being exposed to like the women in Taiwan, I think trying to date over here, it was just like, okay, yeah, this girl's not good. Yeah, straight up, okay, I'm gonna cancel on this girl. Yeah, not really
yeah.
my
Hmm.
type. And I become much more selective. But at the same time, there's less heartbreak with that because now you know what is like really good versus what's really bad. Then you're like, holy
Hmm. Hmm.
shit, like I don't need to invest this much time into trying to make something work. And then yeah, it's not a good thing to be very selective, but at the same time, it's good to be selective, especially when you're already a nice guy like you, right? So you kind of need like a balance.
That's such a dig.
Huh?
Like you, right?
What?
You're just like, no, I'm just kidding. So when you said that, you're just like, oh, like you, buddy.
Like yeah. Okay, I phrased it a little bit like offensive,
No,
but
no,
I
I'm
mean
fucking with you.
I mean
I get you. I get you. Yeah.
yeah, like I felt the same way too. I felt like, believe it or not, I keep saying this, but like I felt like there would be times I simped before I went to Taiwan and was exposed to like all this stuff in Taiwan. I simped a lot. And I feel like when you're exposed to that as a simp, you come back here and you're like, okay, now I'm more selective. In a sense, you just became more balanced. It's like pretty
Yeah. It's like the
much
controvert, right? Like the blue to red ratio is a bit better, right?
exactly. It's like, for example, someone who's like really blue pill and then he watches red pill stuff like Andrew Tate, he just becomes
Hmm.
purple pill or vice versa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so someone who's like red pill and watches Destiny and starts like wanting to fucking suck him off or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I think like people don't realize. I think ultimately girls want someone that's like more purple pill, probably leaning red. If you're gonna lean in any direction, but like they don't realize that like if a guy is hella blue pill, the only way you can get like purple pill is like if he goes through kind of like a abundance phase, right? Or like some massive change. And it makes sense why your dating would actually get better when you come back to the US because you brought up a point where you filtered more, right? Because your expectations are higher in a sense. So you actually remove yourself from these experiences that will like erode out your inner game or confidence, right?
Yeah.
Because like every failed date I go on, it kind of sucks because I'm like, oh, I think for now it's fine because I'm just getting reference. But like if I'm actually like trying to date and I think my like dating skills are like decent, I'm just like fuck, dude, that was just like a waste of time, and each like fail kind of sucks, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like selective and your like sample size is smaller and your percentage of good dates is higher, like good dates feel good, right? It's like, I went on a good date this week and I felt good. So so in a sense it's actually smart because then you just take that time and then focus on like content creation, which like, using your term is like it helps you farm like your like your skills,
Confidence.
right?
Yeah.
Right? Because it's like even today I felt like shit the whole day. But then
Really?
after we started doing this podcast, because dude, I literally told you I had to take a nap, right? I'm like, dude, I'm like kind of sick today. But I think now that we're like talking, I feel pretty
Oh.
good. Like
Oh, I
like now
thought
that
you,
we're
you
talking and
you meant
stuff.
you felt like shit because of a girl. I was like, wait, what?
Oh no, no, I'm like sick. But like I
uh
think now that we like I'm kind of in like the flow state in a sense.
yeah.
I'm probably gonna film some videos if you don't want to live stream with me. I'm gonna film some videos myself
Dang,
after this
okay.
call.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
You know what? I might be down actually. When you
I mean,
saying
it
that,
could be an
it's making
hour.
me feel good now. Like it's like I think that's the good thing and the blessing of like content creation because you come across like these guys, or if you're a girl, you come across like your girl community, and then you just
Hmm.
have like a support system in a sense where people have like the same opinions as you. I mentioned this before in like the voice message I shared with you, but I feel
Hmm.
like with some of my friends, I can't really discuss the same topics because and be my true authentic self because their views are just completely depressing. It's like they're
Hmm.
super. I have some Gen Z friends. Okay, I feel like a lot of them are
Mhm.
depressed. I feel like a
Oh,
lot of them
really?
they just trauma bond a lot of times,
Oh,
and
okay.
then
I've heard about that.
they always
Yeah.
talk about really sad and, oh, this is PTSD, this is traumatizing. I'm
Hmm,
like,
hmm.
dude, you guys throw around these terms like it's nothing. Like PTSD is actually fucking crazy PTSD. You know what PTSD is?
Yeah, yeah.
Is when I almost died, when my
Oh
car
shit.
flew off a cliff, dropped 60 feet down into the ground off a mountain. That is
Wait,
PTSD, but I don't say that's PTSD. You know, I don't throw it around because that we're just fostering an environment that's just like, okay, let's just say everything's PTSD and everything is depressing. So yeah, I
wait,
mean
was that in Taiwan or in US?
that was here. Yeah, because I mean I mod my car and then that was another
What
thing
kind of
too. I
car do you drive?
have an IS 300, a Lexus.
Oh, nice. What
Yeah.
mods you do? Like, you tune it?
Before it was just like it was for looks, right? So after
Okay,
I
okay.
crashed that car, I realized because I didn't invest that much into performance. So I was like, you know, I
Yeah.
need to invest more into performance the next time around. I bought the same exact IS 300. It's a
Hmm.
2004 instead of a 2002,
Okay.
and then
Okay.
it's almost the same
Upgrade.
color. Yeah, and then
Yeah, yeah.
I modified it with performance parts. But like the
Okay,
reason I
nice.
bring this up is because like dude, a lot of people they just bring up this term very loosely like PTSD, but then
Right.
and that's why I can't really resonate with them because someone who actually gone through shit like that, it's like, dude, like life is a crazy blessing. And for you to
Hmm.
say, "Oh, this is PTSD," that's traumatizing. It's crazy, you know. Like it's like you're saying all this stuff is not worth living for. But dude, like when you escape death, you're just like, holy shit, like you know, I love my life, dude. I wake up every
Hmm,
day,
hmm.
and I'm very blessed to be living, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah, I know. Dude, damn.
I was actually a little bit ashamed to talk about my podcast or just like the type of content I do to strangers in general because
Hmm.
I was criticized before because people would have different opinions and then I feel like to a certain extent not everyone's going to believe 100% like whatever opinion you have, but I feel like that shouldn't be a factor of why you should limit what you say because not everyone's made equal and not everyone's going to have the same exact beliefs. I'm pretty sure like even during this conversation you probably have some things that you disagree with.
Mm.
But like maybe like the majority like we probably agree with each other. But I think that's the problem with content because everyone's like very scared to put out content because they don't want to be judged, and it made me ashamed to a point where like it nicked my confidence. But then I started
Hmm.
thinking, you know what, this is actually a blessing in disguise because now I could filter out the type of friends I want to keep in my life. And I had a phase in my life where I was like, yo, this content thing is actually fucking up some of my friendships, but
Hmm.
those people were not really friends I wanted to keep anyways because I I'm gonna be honest. I'm not really a big fan of people who are super PC. And those people were
Hmm.
really PC. And
Hmm. Hmm.
to have the extent of like nicking down one of your close friends and being like, oh, like he's an Andrew Tate supporter when most of my content is against Andrew Tate. I'm like, what the hell is like what is this crap? So I was like, you know, if people are gonna be like that, then you know, my close friends, I don't think they deserve to be my close friend. And I think
Hmm.
that's the kind of the beauty of content because as you put out more of your opinions, then you really get to see the true color of who your friends are. And I was already kind of a little bit iffy, and that really made me in a better place. Like, okay, these people are not really fit to be in my life, you know? So I think in a
Hmm.
sense, going back to like the confidence thing with like how content creation helped us, I think that helped me. Like it helped me knowing that like I don't have these pretentious PC ass people, you know, that aren't like people
Hmm.
I wanted to affiliate with anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of funny because I think with content, it's like the people you don't expect to support you are going to be like your biggest supporters in silence, and then
Exactly.
the people you expect to support you are going to be the ones that are like the biggest haters, right?
Yeah.
And like, ultimately, I think content is a good way to like just live your life on your own terms because we grew up in a society where it hurts to be different sometimes. Like at work, you don't want to be like too different, right? And like some other
You get
structures.
canceled for being
Whereas
different.
yeah, it's like you lose
It's
your job. But
crazy.
whereas like content, you need to be different. It's like what we're talking about. The reason it could probably get views is because there's plenty of guys who think what we're thinking, but they don't have anyone to talk about it with, right? Or like they're not gonna say it out loud. Um, so like I don't know, this might be selfish, but I think like nowadays, like I prefer to meet people who kind of like know my content already. Like I kind of view content as like it's almost like a status tool. Because like for example, with my ping pong content, it feels really good when people already know my content because they treat me way nicer versus if I'm just like a random dude or
Yeah,
like
but at the same time, then
like
wouldn't you feel like that's a little bit pretentious? It's like the guys with a lot of money. It's like you don't know if they're just being friends with you because they actually fuck with you, or they just want your money, right?
yeah, but I think it could be interpreted as pretentious. However, I feel like you just have to use your best judgment to see if someone's just trying to network for clout or like
Yeah.
if they're actually just trying to like network. Because like for example, like we're doing this podcast right now.
Yeah.
Someone else reached out to me for a podcast and I turned him down. And then he immediately right away said like, "Oh, do you know like I see you're like friends with like this other influencer who's like really big. Can you connect me?" And that came off very like more transactional to me, like a stepping stone type of move. Whereas like I feel like for us, we talked and like vibed, and then
Yeah.
like I could like
Yeah.
sense out like you're a cool dude. Um, so I just feel like uh I don't know, like the way I see it is I like to place myself in environments where I'm not like disadvantaged. So like a disadvantaged environment for me would be like what I used to do, which is like go out with my white friends at these like white bars where I'm like way shorter than everyone, like trying to hit on girls, right? Like that's an advantage. That's like an example of like a putting myself in a disadvantaged environment. Whereas like once you build out like your own brand and then you like meet people through the brand and like network and stuff, I feel like when you guys meet and start talking, you guys just like bypass all the like small talk stuff and like you can build deeper relationships, right? And then
Yeah.
obviously there's like a status component, but I mean, I don't really care as much about the status. I just think like it's a really good way to vet out like who's gonna fuck with you and who's not. Because obviously a lot of people probably don't like my content and like this space is very fringe, right? But I'm also like aware enough to recognize that. So I'm not gonna go around like I think you brought up a point like oh, why don't you speak up more in public or like speaking up in public about your opinions. I'm someone that's very practical. Like if I'm in public and I could argue with like a feminist or like someone that like I disagree with, I might not argue with them because I don't really see the point, and I'd rather just save my breath, right?
Mm.
Whereas I feel like I get the sense that like just from your example of the 39-year-old girl, you kind of maybe want to make your point, and like that's where we differ in personality. Is like if I went on a date with like a 39-year-old and she's headstrong about being against that like biological thing, I would just drop it and like I'm not trying to have kids with her, so I don't think like there's any point in like drilling it in. If she's gonna be so delusional to like ignore the science, like
No, I actually,
you can't convert a flat earther to round, right?
yeah. No, if I really liked her, I really saw a lot of potential. But like the biggest thing is that like there wasn't really that much potential to begin with because she's like 10 years older than me. It's a bit tough.
Yeah,
Um,
so like in that case, I feel like I would have less incentive to like
yeah. So I
argue with
didn't
her,
really
right?
like. I was just like, hey, can we not talk about this? And she kept wanting to talk
Yeah.
about it, and I was just like,
Oh, okay, yeah.
but
So you wouldn't
like,
drop
okay,
it.
like if it was a girl that I really cared about, then I'd be like, yeah, I want you to understand this because I care about you, you know. But then with her, it
Hmm.
was just more like, hey, can we drop this? But then she just kept wanting to talk about it. And I was just like, fuck, god damn, I'm forced to talk about it
Hmm.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so like I kind of went back to the point. Like I don't think I'm someone that's a status person at all, but I do recognize the value of status, especially with social media, because the truth of that way the game works is like you're not going to be able to like network with certain people if you don't have a minimum level of status,
yeah,
if
true,
that makes sense.
true.
But at the
Um,
same time, I'm not someone that discriminates on status. Like if there's a small creator that like just started, but I think he's a cool guy, I'll like put them on my channel, right?
Yeah. Kind of like what's going on right now. But
Yeah, but I mean, you have like 2K, so it's not too bad. Like, if you had like 200, I'd still probably talk to you, if you're
oh,
cool. So it's
okay.
like, or if you had 20 subs, dude. Like, if I like thought, honestly, I think view count's more important than sub count. I feel like sub count actually doesn't matter that much because I might have like 11K subs, but I built that over 4 years across a variety of genres. So I
Oh,
actually think like the better metric is like loyal followers, and
okay.
like average view count.
That's
Because
true.
you can go viral, but then those views don't mean anything because those people won't buy a product or like they're not gonna like watch all your videos. So I'd rather get like 10 loyal fans than like go viral almost.
That's true. That actually got me thinking a bit. But yo, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
it's funny that you bring that up because like I feel like with content creation, it's allowed you to have like more internal confidence, and that's why you're
Hmm.
able to embrace more of your Asian heritage, because you did mention that you were whitewashed growing up in Seattle,
Hmm.
and just having more of this like confidence and like status for content creation, I think it's helped you to like really have more pride and really see the
Hmm.
true you. And like before, maybe you're being whitewashed because you didn't know who you were, but now that you have more
Hmm.
confidence, you're like, oh, I want to embrace who I am, which is also a blessing in disguise too, because like, I mean, yeah, we probably get hate, but then at the same time, like we do get confidence from being able to talk about shit. So it's really nice. I mean, to do content creation and like being able to say like what you believe in, and there's knowing there's people out there and meeting people too that have the same beliefs.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I just view content as like it's almost like a freedom of expression combined with like self-improvement. Uh, yeah, and then combined with networking tool for me. Because like the truth is, when I used like before I made content, if I like meet new people, I have like shaky voice, and I'm like really trying to be like there's like a certain voice where it's like just super like I don't want to say submissive, but like super people pleasing, where it's like kind of shaky, and then like you're scared to like talk assertively. Like I used to have that kind of like tone, or I'll do like upspeak, right? It's like, oh, like when your voice goes up, like you're asking a question, right? It's
oh yeah, I know what I mean.
like how was your day? It's like my voice will kind of go up a little bit,
Yeah,
right? When I'm like it's kind of like you're just trying to talk to like an adult or something, like a parent.
I think young people do that a
Um,
lot because inexperience, like just communicating.
yeah, yeah, but I think like nowadays because I made so many YouTube videos, and like when I edit, I'm listening to myself talk. I feel like it's made me a lot more articulate sounding.
Yeah. Hey, before we wrap it up, for this one, I want to ask you one last question. Did you feel like you
Mhm.
ever like lost friends or even close friends by doing content? I think with like so many voice messages that we exchange, I asked that, but then, like we sometimes like have like way too many to to reply, so
Mhm.
then
Yeah, yeah,
it
it's like
probably
so
got
many threads.
lost.
Yeah,
But yeah, um,
yeah.
did you have
I
like
mean,
experience with that?
yeah, yes, yes and no, right? Like, I think in life, so it's kind of interesting. This came up in my like I was on a date yesterday, and the girl was like, she's like 24, but like she had some friends where they've known each other for like 8 years, but she like didn't really like hang out with them, but she still kept in touch because of longevity. But I was trying to explain that like I think that all relationships are like transient, and it really just depends on what phase you are in your life. So going back to the example of like the 6'4" friend I had, right? I'd say like first 2 years out of college, I was like best friends with him. Like we play RuneScape together, like in like old school RuneScape, and then we like text every day and talk all the time.
Did you get the
But I
Rune
think as I
RTH,
started making, what's up?
Rune 2H, or Rune Simi?
Oh yeah, you gotta do like the bow and arrow, the arrow, like the range, the 2H combo, right?
Okay, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Surprise them.
Yeah, but yeah, it was like
Wildy. Yeah,
what's
sorry.
up?
What were you saying, dude?
The Wildy, yeah, the Wildy. But yeah, essentially like I was like best friends with him. But then he was actually one of the people who like when I started making more dating related content, I kind of bounced my ideas off him, and I could tell he had like an uneasiness about him, like, ooh, I don't know if you should post that kind of thing. Like, what are people gonna think? Type
Hmm.
of attitude. But because I knew someone like Kevin Tang, who I also bounce ideas off of, his impression was like, oh, like why wouldn't she post that kind of thing? Because he's a creative. So in his mind, he's thinking like, oh, how can you make it better versus whether you should post in the first place. So once I moved to Vegas, I stopped being friends with that guy. And like naturally, you know, I don't really hang out with anyone from college anymore just because I live in different cities. So I was explaining to the girl on the date yesterday that I think the two biggest indicators of like whether you keep a friend or not is number one is proximity, so like same city basically, or if you see them physically. And then number two is like mutual interest or hobby. So most of my friends nowadays is either from ping pong or like content creation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I agree. I mean,
Because like
I cut off
yeah,
I cut off some friends because of that too. Like, yeah, some cut me off, but then I cut off some friends too because I was just like thinking, like, what does this friend even contribute to me? Like, it's kind of similar
right.
to what you just said. Like, it would be kind of discouraging me to post certain things and topics, and I'm just like, why would I keep this friend? I'm just, yeah,
Yeah, content's already hard enough as it is without external like negative viewpoints. So I find it best if you don't have any input versus negative input. Obviously, you want positive input, like people who can like like almost like empower you to do more. But like
yeah,
that's kind of hard to find, I think. So like the next best thing is no input from others.
okay,
Like if you can like focus on your craft, right? So that just comes with the game of content, dude. Because the thing is, like content creators is like less than 1% of the population probably.
for
So
real,
like
it is, yeah,
so like so like it's just like a very niche hobby that goes very deep. But that's my personality. I like to get like very sweaty about my hobbies, right? Like with lifting, I did bodybuilding competitions. And then like with ping pong, I'm like traveling to a different country to like train. So like I think everything I do, I like to like get really into it, which is like very not normal. Because like most normal people or like normies, they like to like try different hobbies and then like do a little bit and then switch and they get bored
what
or
about
like
sweaty
try
in the
this, try
bedroom?
that. What's up?
Sweaty in the bedroom?
No, with my hobbies, bro. So like
That's a hobby too.
yeah, man. So yeah, I
Uh,
that's just like my personality though, honestly.
yeah. Okay. All right, man. Well, let's just wrap it up here. And you said you want to do like a live stream on your channel. Like, let's just go ahead and
Yeah, we could send it.
start that.
You want to take like a break real quick and then
Yeah, for sure.
rejoin?
Okay. We'll just end it here.
Okay. All right. All right. Thanks for having me on.